Hey there, Carrie Rhoades. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have a fun video for you today because I'm playing with one of my favorite things, the gel press. I'm going to show you how to make a kind of grungy, shabby chic look for card making. I love pairing my backgrounds that I make myself on my gel press with rubber stamping and making unique cards. So the gel press that I'm using today is 5x7. It's jelly-like. That's why it's called a gel press, and we're gonna brayer some paint on here, acrylic paint, and make some prints. And I had already picked out a print. I actually had it on my Facebook page, and my followers voted and said they wanted to see fall theme for this week's video. So I'm gonna be using a print that they voted on, but I'm gonna show you how to get that kind of look on the gel press. Then we're gonna turn that into a fabulous card featuring my August stamp set of the month, Sunflower Daisy by Altenew. So it's a great video. I'm making a big card and lots of, it's just extra, as my daughter would say. And if she heard me say this card was extra, she'd be like, Mom. So it's extra, it just is. Let me know if you like it. It has all the things, it's extra, yeah. Also, if you comment on this video, your name gets put into a drawing to win the card that I make in this video, which also means that someone is the winner of last week's card, right here. So the winner of this card will flash across the screen. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing and liking my videos. It means so much to me. I will be in touch and get this card out in the mail to you right away. All right, so let's get started making gel press prints, and then we're gonna turn that into a card. Here we go. Okay, take a look at this Sunflower Daisy stamp set by Altenew. So much fun. It's a layering stamp set, and I'll show you how that works in a little bit. Also, these are the prints that I was deciding between to use for today's card. I'm going to use the one shown here in the middle, but I wanted to show you how to get that kind of grungy layered look on the gel press. So we're going to be using some paints here by Fun Stamper's Journey. These paints are super thick, heavy body paints. They kind of have a pudding-like texture. And then I'm going to show you how to get texture into your paint when you pick up a print. So first I'm going to start with Blue Lagoon paint. I'm bringing in a second brayer. So a second gel press, that's 8.5 by 11. That is from Fun Stamper's Journey. So when I have built up paint on my brayer, I can brayer it off onto my extra gel press instead of onto scratch paper. That way I can pick up a mystery print at the end. So once I've brayered that Blue Lagoon paint on, I'm laying down the polka dot wall stencil and then a card front size piece of lightweight white cardstock. So I've got this great polka dot pattern, and then I'm going to take that same stencil and press it down onto my extra gel press there on the side to clean it off and leave some polka dots. And then I'm going to take the print of the paint left behind after I removed the stencil, and we get the reverse image. And now you can see there, we still have a little bit of paint on the gel press. So here's where we start creating those layers. I've put Lemon Drop and Pineapple Smoothie on there. And now I'm bringing in just acrylic paint that's from like the craft store or Walmart. You can see how it's spread out. That's because it's not heavy body paint. It's more liquid, more fluid, and that's gonna work a little bit different on your gel press than a heavy body paint. I prefer the heavy body. It's easier to control, easier to get texture in, but that's not to say that you can't use the paint that you find at the Walmart, at the craft store, and those types of things. All right, so let's see what we get from this print. When you pull it up, you can see the paint I just put down plus that leftover paint. I'm starting to pick it up. So we're just going to keep going forward like that, putting on paint, picking up layers, and creating texture and dimension in our prints from the leftover paint. So now I'm using Sweet Berry, Pineapple Smoothie, and Lemon Drop. And I'm going to really blend these together. Instead of getting 3 distinct stripes, I want these colors to blend together to make a new color, kind of an orangey color. But when you're blending like this, you can get variations in that color, more yellow at one end, more orange at another end. And so it's just a fun way to get variations of color. Now I'm taking a plastic grocery bag, crinkling it up, getting lots of wrinkles in it, and I'm pressing that down onto the paint. And then I'm tapping it off on that extra gel press over on the side. And you can see the texture and the wrinkles that that put in the print. So I'll lay down another piece of cardstock and pick that up, and you can see that it just gave it a little bit of interest, a little bit of texture, and I'm still getting blue paint. So now I'm going to put the paint on randomly instead of in lines, and we'll really kind of mix these together. But I love how bits of orange will show through, bits of yellow will show through, and this is kind of how the print looks that I'll be using in today's card. So I'm brayering that all over and then wiping or running my brayer over on that extra gel press to clean it off. And again, I'll come in with that plastic sack and really pressing into that paint, trying to get even more texture on this one. And let's see what we get and how much of that blue paint will come up on this particular print. See, we're still getting a little blue, and we've got those splotches of the different colors. So now I'm going to go heavier on the yellow paint, the two yellows, and then I'll just put a little bit of that orange in there. And we'll continue on making texture with the plastic bag, but kind of in a different way this time. Before I was like pouncing it on, and this time I'm going to lay it on in one press and pick up that color. And you can see those wrinkles are a little bit bigger this time. So we'll collect that print, and now we're really starting to get some fun looks. And I'm picking up even more paint here before I take a ghost print. So that's taking a second print without adding any more paint. And it really picked up a lot of that, I want to call it grunginess, which may sound like something unattractive, but I love it. There's still paint on there. So I'm going to show you a technique that I learned from Carolyn Dubé. I took a class from her, Carolyn Dubé. I said it wrong, sorry. But I took a class from her on gel press printing, and this was my most favorite thing that I learned is putting down a very light layer of paint, putting your paper down, and then letting it sit. She calls it let it ride. And what we're going to do is re-moisten that dry paint on there with a light layer of paint, and we'll come back and pick it up after it dries. I'm going to do the same exact thing on this larger gel press that I was cleaning my brayer off on, but this time I'm using white paint, which is actually my favorite paint to do let it ride. And then we're just going to have to let these set for about 5 minutes, I found. While we're doing that, let's talk about cleaning your stencils. I like to have a little dishpan full of soapy water in my stamp room when I'm gel pressing. I can slide my stencil into it right away. Okay, so now 5 minutes has passed, and I'm pulling that print up, and you can see all the polka dots that we got from the very first print that I made. It's amazing. So now let's take a look at all the card print size prints that we made today in order that we made them, and you can just see the progression and the different looks that we got. And some are more grungy than others, so you can play with that. But there's still paint on this. So I'm going to tell you something I like to do is to get old books from the thrift store that I don't think anybody would be sad if I ripped them apart, like this one, Fishing Southern California from 1983. So what I'm going to do is put another layer of white on, and what I want to do is collect that dried paint from the edge of my press. There's almost nothing there in the middle from the print that we just took. So I'm brayering on that white paint, and I'm noticing I got a little bit too much paint. So I'm going to brayer that off on a piece of scratch paper, and I'm going to bring my brayer back in, and you can see it's starting to pick up some of that paint. So if you ever get too much, that's the trick you do. Clean your brayer off on a scratch piece of paper and brayer again. We're going to set that print aside on the book page and come back to it at the end of the video. But for now, let's take a look at the print that we made from my brayer cleanup press, we'll call it. And this print is so cool. And one thing is, you can use a die to pick out the section that you want for your card. You don't just have to cut these full sheets into fourths and use every corner. Find a rectangle die and kind of cut them out how you want. All right, now I'm going to show you the inks I'm going to use to stamp all the flowers for today's card. They're from Altenew. They come in sets of 4. I think their inks are amazing on clear stamps. And I love that they come in sets of 4. So if you want to do layered stamping like I'm doing here with the Sunflower Daisy stamp set, you don't have to guess which ink colors to use. That being said, I am using a light brown color for the final detail layer of both of these flowers. And so that just gives it a little bit more of a fall-like look. And now I'm stamping the centers of these flowers. And since I had the stamps already in my MISTI, I went ahead and took that opportunity to stamp 4 of the flowers, 2 in the yellow and 2 in the orange. And then I'm going to stamp the smaller flower. This time I'm using the 2 lightest brown shades and making, I just wanted like a fall feel of a fall flower arrangement. So I'm making these smaller ones in these really light tan colors. And there you have it. I die cut those out, and then I also stamped and die cut out some leaves from that same stamp set. Now my card is huge. It's a 5x7 card. So I took a piece of 10" by 7" paper, folded it in half and scored it at 5 inches to create this card. And then my card front piece would be 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And I'm going to splatter that with some gold silk because I have to splatter my gel press prints. If you've watched any of my gel press videos, you already know that. So I put a ton of this on because a lot of it is going to be covered up and my background is pretty busy. So I wanted to make sure that some of that would actually show even after some of it is covered up by flowers. Now I'm going to take a sentiment from the Sunflower Daisy stamp set, and it's not that I want to be able to read the sentiment. What I'm doing is just building up another layer onto my gel press print so that you see random little words, random letters in the background. And I'm using milk chocolate ink to do that. It is in one of the ink collections that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And now I'm just going to play around with layering my card and arranging the flowers. I like to do this before I get started with gluing everything down and kind of get a feel for where the card's going to go, if I need to change something, stamp something else. And I decided I needed a little piece of corrugated paper, so I brought that in. And now I'm using a stamp set from Honeybee and stamping the word grateful. Now all the products I've used will be listed and linked for you below, so you can easily check them out. And this grateful is just perfect to go with another of the sentiments from this Sunflower Daisy stamp set. So I'm going to mount that onto an acrylic block and stamp it with Blue Lagoon ink, which is the same color as this cardstock, which is the same color as the acrylic paint we used on that polka dot gel press print at the beginning, and the same color blue in the background of this particular print. So now I'm taking the Grateful for You sentiment from the Sunflower Daisy stamp set to layer over the top of my grateful background, and that is oatmeal cookie cardstock that I'm using there, and brushing the edges of it with the milk chocolate ink pad. It was a little bit too big, so I'm trimming it down so it doesn't overwhelm the word grateful, and you can still see that behind this little sentiment strip like that. So we'll glue that in place onto our card, and then we'll begin arranging the flowers. Most of the flowers and leaves will be popped up with foam squares. Some will be glued down. Before I glue them down, I'm going to just take a little bit of twine there and stick it down to the card in kind of a bundle, a cluster, a haphazard curly arrangement. Yeah. I don't know if it has a technical name, but I like it for this shabby chic feel of this card. So I'm just tucking the leaves in, and then once I figure out exactly where I want them, putting foam squares on and sticking them down. And trying to arrange them so I don't cover up too much of the word grateful. Just little edges of it is fine. So this larger green leaf is going to hang off the card front quite a bit, but I am going to come back in and trim that off so it won't hang off past the fold of the card and will fit nicely in an envelope. All right, so the twine needed to be scooted around just a bit, so I did that, and then we'll go ahead and put on this last tan flower. I love the look of that. It just really gives it that fall-like feel. And then we will start arranging the flowers at the bottom as well. So I have to tell you, as I'm making this card, right outside the window, which I look out of as I am making this card, is a large amount of quail just playing on the hillside of my backyard, making all kinds of noise, digging around. It was quite distracting from card making, but somehow I finished. So now I'm stamping a third color of flower. I guess it's the fourth color of flower for this card in the two darkest colors from the orange collection of inks, because I needed a pop of color down there at the bottom. So that's what I just did, and I just used my acrylic blocks. I didn't pull out the stamp positioning tool, so you can easily use this stamp set without a stamp positioning tool. Whatever is your preferred method for stamping will work for these stamps. There is a guide that comes with this stamp set, so you can kind of learn how to line them up. I find it so helpful, either with acrylic blocks or with the tool. All right, so now we'll go ahead and mount this to the card base. And I like to use liquid glue on most all things. So that's what I am mounting this on with. And then I'm going to come back and add some embellishments. I've got one of the little tan leaves I'll put right here. So it's like falling through the air. So cute. And then I decided to make a triple bow for the bottom. So I'm going to wrap this around my fingers in a figure 8 3 times. Then I'm going to take the end and put it between my fingers, which creates a loop that I can put the end through and pull tight. I kind of wiggle it back and forth to pull it tight. And then I've got a triple bow. Now I'm just going to arrange this, and I'm going to snip off the end, and then I kind of try to rough it up a little bit so it doesn't look so crisp and clean and new. And then I'm going to add that to the card right at the bottom there with a glue dot, so it'll hold it in place nice and snug. And that just kind of brings out the twine at the top of the card as well. So I'll trim those off. The ends were a little bit too long, and I like them to hang off just a little bit. And then I'm going to bring in some of the elements that I have left over to decorate the front of the card. So I made a little flag with the leftover gel press print that I'm going to put in that upper left corner of the card. And then I will trim off that excess so it's flush with the edge of the card. I'm going to add some scraps of paper around here because I thought, oh, I want to stamp this. Do you always think of things after you've already mounted it? Yeah, so that's what happened here. So I'm using the Grateful for You and just randomly stamping that to have that text in the background. Then I had an extra bit of leaf that I thought I would stick down. And once I stuck that down, I realized, oh, I want to put some corrugated paper in here like I have on the front. So I am going to do that, and since I use liquid glue, I do have a minute or so to be able to move that around. So you can see I just picked up the leaf, stuck that corrugated paper down, and put my leaf back down. And I did distress the edge of the corrugated paper with the edge of my milk chocolate stamp pad. Now I'm going to staple this into place. I like the, I don't know, kind of industrial element mixed with the botanical element. Staples, leaves, just fun. So then I'm splattering that little area with some more gold silk just for some added sparkle. And since I did the staples on the inside of the card, I wanted to add it to the outside of the card too. So I'm using this. These staples are really little from this Fun Stamper's Journey stapler, and so they're really artsy. Next and last element for this extra card, it has so much, are gold sequins. Like, I really couldn't stop with this card. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions about this card. It is way outside the realm of what I normally create, but I just really went for it. So if you think it's a little extra, a little too much, let me know. If you think it's awesome and you like it, I would love to hear that. So leave a comment below and you could have a chance to win this card right here. Now let's bring in that gel press with the book page. Did you forget about it? Are you still here watching? I hope so. So here is that book page with just the paint from the edge of the gel press. Now there's leftover paint there. You could rinse it off in the sink, but you could always save it for another print from another day. So there we have it. Pretty cool. I might use this for something, a little corner of a card. I don't know. It's really cool. All right. So like I said, leave a comment below, give me a thumbs up, and you could have a chance to win this card, and I will mail it right to you. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. I have new videos every week, and I love sharing my creations with you. I hope you have a fabulous week and happy stamping. Bye.